It is NashHenryASMR. Salutations to each and every one of you, and welcome. It's Nash speaking, and in tonight's video, I am back playing some OG Fortnite on the Season 6 map, and I will be whispering with some gum chewing to help you fall asleep. So I want to get back into the swing of things of uploading, and I thought it would be a good beginning video to kind of just talk about my thoughts on the game right now, what I'm enjoying, what I'm looking forward to, just kind of checking in, hoping to pump out some more frequent content now as we get into the colder months. I'm chewing on some extra bubblegum tonight. I hope you guys like the noises. So, personally, I really have been enjoying the OG map lately. You know, Chapter 6 is fun, but it just doesn't really compete, for me at least, with the old map. So, to have that as an alternative to play when I'm upset with like the medallions or the movements. I know the medallions are gone now, but it's just so much more simple. And this Season 6 was one of my favorite older seasons. And they just added the Halloween update, which is pretty cool. You know, it will be fun to go into Season 7, the snow map in December. The full snow map, hopefully. Maybe the Ice King boss will come back. I saw some rumors, some leakers posting about that. But yeah, you know, it should be fun. It should be very, very, very fun. And Chapter 6 right now, the player counts aren't all great, but I'm also enjoying it. You know, there's a lot of good movement, some good gunplay. I like the new movement, like the roly-polies. They're a fun little addition. That Wrecker revolver is unbelievably good. Yeah, but I've really been playing a lot of OG lately. I think I've just been missing the more simple seasons, and it's perfect right now, you know. I think Fortnite has a big chance to capitalize going into Chapter 7. If they can get some new players from the Simpsons season and stuff, then big build up for Chapter 7 is what I would hope, like a big event downtime or a big black hole style event, you know. Get people wondering and then make it different than expected. I mean, don't just make it all. Don't just make it boring. Know what I mean? Like, we want some new big style changes that are going to get new people in the game and old people back on the game instead of just going through the motions. It's got to be more customizable. Like on the home menu, we shouldn't just be subjected to all these crazy creative maps, you know? Like, the algorithm should pick up on what we actually play. If we're only playing OG and no builds Chapter 6, then advertise those modes in the menu instead of these wild, like, brain rot modes. I mean, to me, that's one change I would love to see. A more customizable home menu. And then another thing I think would be cool is if they brought back some more live events next chapter. We haven't seen a ton of live events aside from the OG ones that have just come back. But how many are those gonna get? There's only so many people that are gonna be wanting to see the same thing over again, or wanting to see something for the first time that they can watch on YouTube that's 7 years old. So it's fun, but I hope there are some new live events in Chapter 7, that is. My biggest thing, though, you've got to have good movement. Right now we do, but in Chapter 5, later seasons, there was really rough movement, like that car season was really rough. You've got to have shockwaves and then a new mobility item, in my opinion. And one of my other biggest complaints, which I've seen some other people point this out online because it's very true. There are POIs. There have been POIs in the past, like that say Lazy Links. You didn't land at Lazy Links because it had the crazy new medallion or a mythic. You landed there because it was cool, because you like golf, that kind of thing. It's not that sort of reality. I feel like it's been lost with a lot of the more recent maps. There's no continuity among the POIs. I would love to see that change. And I would also like to see more creative designs. Lazy Links and Tilted Towers were very distinct. A city, golf course, nothing crazy. No crazy collabs either. Like, don't get me wrong, I love some of the cool collabs with old TV shows and old movies. But it gets to a point sometimes where it's like it's not all about marketing. Sometimes you just gotta look back at the fundamentals of the game and realize the player base was built on good gunplay, a fun new battle royale mode, and some really cool locations. So those are some of my tips I hope they focus on in Chapter 7. I hope they focus on those tips in Chapter 7. It would be very nice if they focused on those in Chapter 7 because it would just be very nice. While the player count might look not great right now, don't get me wrong, but there are still a lot of streamers on the game. Still a huge community for this game. I'm really excited for the next few months. I think a lot of people are overreacting about the player counts and stuff. We've got a new Reload Halloween map, a ton of new collabs like Scooby-Doo. Super excited for that for Halloween. With a new festive Reload map, which I think is a great idea, and they should do that for Christmas too. Into a Simpsons season. I know some people don't like Simpsons, but it is such a popular TV show. And it might bring some old players back. It's not a new show, it's an older show, which I like that they're committed to those as well. And then going into Chapter 7, along with the Season 7 OG snow map, which I actually think will garner a lot of players, because that is such a nostalgic season. It has never been brought back before in its entirety, and it will be over the colder months when most people are playing video games. So I think the OG mode will continue to rise in player counts the next few months. That would be my guess at least. And then you got Delulu, which has been a big limited time mode lately. They've really hit on that. It's a fun mode to play. And then, Blitz, Reload, fast-paced, quick action modes that still have good player counts for being Chapter 7 gets it right, which I think they will. I have confidence they will. You know, it's good right now. I think they need to continue that and go back to some of the basics and then add a few new items, of course. New loot pool, new POIs, new stuff. Get people back on the game. We could be seeing all-time highs. I truly do think so. There's lots of hope for the next few months. I think it's gonna hit. OG's great right now, enjoying Battle Royale. Just still such a fun game. 7 years after its release, it's so rare to get a video game that you've still got millions of people on. Years. I'm talking almost over half a decade after its release. That's some historical numbers right there. And not even like a second game, it's still, Battle Royale is still the main mode. Even if it's got less players than it did a year ago, it's still the main mode of Fortnite. So I think a lot of people are overreacting, but I do understand the criticism, and I think I laid out some points I hope they touch on. But, it's going to be important that Chapter 7, the release of it, is not staggered, not clustered up, not foggy, that it's all clear cut. People get what they get on the first day of release, and no one's complaining, or at least not many. People are always going to complain. But you know what I mean. I think the new reload map isn't being talked enough though, because that's going to be really fun, having a new reload map that's festive to the holiday is such a great idea. I think I might have mentioned that on a previous video that would be a great idea. And of course, Fortnite has followed suit, so they do listen, People are like, they don't listen to the community anymore. That's not true. It's not true at all. They made changes to Delulu after the day one of release. They're listening, they're improving, and the player counts are only going to rise in these last few months of the 2025 year. I hope you guys are all excited for what's to come, and let me know in the comments below kind of what you're most looking forward to, what you think will be the most fun addition, and if you have any suggestions or comments on what I've had to say today. Also, any suggestions for future videos would be much appreciated. I'm hoping to get back into somewhat of a more consistent schedule on here. So if you have any ideas, I know I say that a lot, but these months are the best months to record. So if you have any suggestions, video ideas, maps, games I should play, modes in Fortnite you want me to check out, hit me up in the comments below. I'll try and follow up. So yeah. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video tonight. The cup chewing. The cup to whispering. Thoughts on the game and its future state. Hope you guys enjoy. And for these last few minutes, I'm just going to include some gum chewing and mouth sounds. So enjoy. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great night wherever you are. ogres,